Hey YouTube, quick video. I always say that, never turned out to be. But Hondo, Les Paul, like the headstocks on these ones, quite pointy and evil looking. I just had this in for, basically nothing wrong with it apart from the guy had chipped the nut. So I just put a new nut on it. Luckily I had one in my parts box. Quite a good match if I do say so myself. Not enough, I don't like cutting nuts. It's really, there's such a point of, what I need to do is I need to buy a bag of them. Because you're sitting there, filing it down to get it to fit. And if you go too far, game's a bogey, rip it out, start again. So there's always that fear of going too far. It's really annoying. It's not like, you can't file it down and then, oh, I've gone too far, I'll file it back up again. But anyway, yeah, so in very good condition. You see a lot of these. I can't remember exactly the, I actually just noticed there, is that an S in there for Samick maybe? I don't know, this one doesn't have any of the stickers left on it. Often these have a wee gold sticker on the back of the headstock with the model number. It'll be an H something. I don't know. But I actually get two guitars off this chap, and this is like another black Les Paul, and I'm not really a Les Paul fan, and I just there seem to be so many of them. But it's a good one. It's miles better than the Satellite one I had a couple of months ago. So I'd put this at early 80s, made in Korea. It does, it's good. These are real humbuckers, I'm pretty sure. Actually, they've got crosshead screws on it. Is that normal? I think it might be. Yeah, so I just have a wee jam with it, and both pickups. Quite a nice little neck. Yeah, so pretty much, I don't really know what to say about it. It's a black Les Paul. It's a bolt-on neck. This one, I don't know if they did do, if they did set neck Hondos in this era. But there's an awful lot of snobbery. Bolt-on neck I think is actually better than a set neck, really, because you can move it if it goes wrong or if you can replace the neck. And it's arguably a better join because you're physically screwing two bits of wood together rather than having like a wee lip that kind of sits on it and then it's glued. So don't know. Tuners are originals on this one, but they actually work quite well. The guitar itself's actually in pretty good condition. I think a lot of the things you get, it's actually got the same, I wouldn't surprise me these are Japanese tuners. These are the same as what's on my Antoria Telecaster. They're kind of dead. The actual buttons are like really, really, really thin this way, which I quite like. Normally they've got like a couple of millimeters thick. This way, just actually talking about the buttons. Necks are Les Paul. It's like, yeah. So what was I doing? I was playing US Dream for a bit of distortion. into the Hondos, I can't really fault them. Apart from the fact I don't like Les Pauls. But that's not... It's more just a look thing, I think, more than anything else. Very comfortable to play. This one, I think, has been set up previously. A lot of the times, the reason these get a bad rep, I don't think they get a particularly bad rep, but basically any guitar that's like 30 years old gets a bad rep because it depends who had it before you. So you might get, it's the sort of guitar you can imagine, I mean, this must be 30 years old. So 20 years ago, somebody could have got it and decided they were going to do some improvements. And it's like, that makes it not the original guitar anymore. Obviously, on the other way of things, maybe they got it set up, or they actually knew what they were doing to fix it, to make it play the way it does. But a lot of the times, these things, they go out of fashion. Somebody buys it for their first guitar or their second guitar, when it's maybe 5-10 years old, so it was like £100 or whatever, and then they cover it with stickers and they beat it up and they hate it because they wish they had a real Gibson one, so they just treat it like shit, and then they end up knackered, and then somebody else has got one and go, the Hondo, and it was absolutely terrible. And it's like, yeah, but did somebody leave that Hondo like in the garage under a drip for 10 years before you bought it? And it was all rusty, and then is that why it's horrible? Also, I think one of the problems with in fact, these frets have definitely been they've either never been played, they've been crowned properly, or they're new frets. They're not new frets because they would be damaging the binding. So it's basically just, I think it's just in really good condition. It's just that the guy who bought this one managed to buy one that hadn't been abused, didn't go through some teenager's hands in the early 80s when they were smashing it up, playing punk on it. It's been looked after, which makes a big difference to these things. And again, it even comes, I'm the same again. I badmouthed my West Tone bass for years because I hated that bass. It was awful. And now I love West Tones. It was a Japanese bass. I bet you it was really good. It's just I never changed the strings on it. I didn't know what a truss rod was. So the thing I had, it was manky, it was horrible, it smelt funny, it was a bit sticky. None of these things are a guitar's fault. Any guitar, it could be a 1952 Stratocaster that if you didn't know anything about guitars, but it's got rusty strings on it, and it's sticky, and it's like it's going to make it rubbish. Hold on, telly's going to shut down. Yeah, so fun, good fun. Is it better than like a current Epiphone Les Paul? In many ways, it is. I have to be honest. Well, is it a better? But I think the most expensive Epiphone, well, not even the most expensive Epiphone Les Pauls, the sort of mid-range ones, you're now looking at £500-600, and it's like, would I rather have a £500 or £600 Epiphone to play a gig with, or this for a couple of hundred? And it's like, I would have this for a couple of hundred and a couple of pound, £400 cash to spend on Bucky and a new car, and play with this no problem. So not really any faults in it. And again, I think there's a little bit of, people pay an awful lot of money for your relic guitars. Okay, you get the ones that have been sandpapered and stuff like that, but you get the sort of light relic where it's like kind of just, the edges are rounded off and it's a little bit worn in feeling, and that just happens to a guitar that's 40 years old, or 35 or however old this is. But it's real. It's real, it's like, oh look, the binding's gone a sort of slightly yellowed because I'm sure it used to be a whiter than that. But it went that naturally. Whereas if I had a shot of a $5 or $6 Gibson 58 Les Paul reissue thing with all the scratch on it, and the binding had gone, well, it hadn't gone anything, it had been artificially aged to make it look cream, and it looked really cheap and nasty, like the binding. And it's like, this was a $5 or $6 guitar, and the binding looked kind of, I don't know what the word is, cloudy, almost translucent plastic. You see, if you buy guitar parts from China and you're buying, like, I don't know, Strat pickup covers, and you get a choice of white or vintage white, look like that, where it's kind of creamy coloured, but there's a difference between creamy coloured because it's 20 or 30 years old and creamy coloured because they made it creamy coloured. It doesn't look the same. Yeah, this was only 5 minutes when I said I was going to, oh, just end the video now, it's now 11. So yes, have a look at Hondos. And if I like all these things, it's actually had quite a bad dunt in the back of the neck at some point. It's not snapped, it's just it's been bashed. That's this one. Don't knock them. The problem again with these things, if you don't really know how to fix up guitars, it's a bit of a gamble buying them online. But if you can find them in I don't know, like the right shop or something like that, I don't even know where you get these shops. If you can find like a good guitar shop that sells second-hand guitars and you get a shot playing one of these, this would sell really quickly in a guitar shop, assuming, because people would go in and play it and go, this plays just as good as whatever it is, my Gibson one, because I mean, you always hear so many stories of people, oh, my pals got a Gibson Les Paul and my Epiphone's better, and it's like, yeah, that's dead easy to understand how that could be the case if the Gibson, you know, the truss rod needs set up or it's got bad frets or the strings are rusty, or, you know, and the Epiphone's in pristine setup condition. Rock on!